So I guess more are coming in slowly.
Yeah. Can I pass?
Mr. Chok, this is what I do. I'll just start off because now it's 8:03. So I'll just begin very slowly with the introductions and opening. So by then, I think more should be in already. Yeah. Okay for you? I'll start. All right. Good evening, all students. I suppose you are students. Are there any parents here? Do let me know you are parents, right? You're welcome to join this talk. Right. This is the 2012 Cambridge PSLE, the GCO level talk. And today's subject is mathematics. We're pleased to have Mr. Chok Sik Pang, our tutor in the principal rank, which is the highest in Cambridge. Mr. Chok was formerly teaching maths in Raffles institutions. Institute, right? Raffles Institute.
Yeah, that's right.
Raffles Institute. Yeah. He was teaching maths, and thereafter he joined Cambridge full time, taking maths from primary all the way to secondary 4 GCO level, including A and B maths. Yeah. So during these many years, I guess many students have done very well. For those who failed, they get to pass, and a lot of them basically gotten their distinction. That's why we are most honored to have him today to share with you. The purpose of this talk is it speaks for itself. The preparation, which means to get you ready by helping you and guiding you to have a last-minute preparation. That is to say, the focus is on the examination and the papers itself by understanding the objectives and knowing the requirement, and also, right, the expectations as well. Okay, so during this, right, what we would want to say is that to help you to be exam smart, giving you the necessary informations, and then from there, with the knowledge, okay, you need the techniques and the skills, right, to do well. Now, all we aim at is to help you with a 5 marks up by getting you the 5 marks that you thought that you will lose it because you don't know the answer, or helping you not to lose the marks, the 5 marks that you thought you will gain unnecessarily. Okay, this can only be done if with somebody who has very experienced and have walked through at least 20 years, year by year, helping students in the same exams as the O level. Okay, so in terms of not just that, but the format, the popular topics or the common topics, which means that more questions will be set on these topics, the type of question set, and how they are set in each sections. I believe that the first or second sections are helping you to gain mark. So we are here to help you to gain the mark. The last sections, we're helping you not to lose the marks. Yeah. So all in all, these 5 marks, right, can give you 1 more grade up. So for those who are borderline, you assure a pass, a credit. Yeah? And for those who are having a credit, let's go for a B grade then. And for those with a B grade, let's get the distinctions. Yeah? It still can be done. You have 3 more months. Right? These 3 more months, you just have to be smart, right? Not whatever you have learned, you're more or less there. Okay. Now is that to get to the exams itself. It's just like I guess all of you have not taken your driving test. Now, so if you are taking the driving test, it is important that you know what the test is all about. You just have to focus on the test, given what they want, you pass, get your driving lessons, and you can drive anywhere you want, as long as you drive safely and don't flock the rules. Okay. So without further delay, okay, I will hand I see that there are already 11. I will hand the screen to Mr. Chok. Mr. Chok, you may proceed. Thank you.
Okay. If you've gone to our YouTube channel and also KRTC Facebook page, you find different teachers have given talks, and I'm one of those last one to give talks. Tonight is about A Math at O level. Now, I suppose if you're just doing E Math, you can still have some takeaway lessons from here. Now, if I'm giving a talk, perhaps what you can do is to mute yourself just in case there are background noises and it interferes with the talk. But I do allow us to have certain discussion at certain time, maybe question to raise with me. That will be towards the end of the talk, let's say about 8:50, yeah? Now, 25 to 27 years with KRTC is a long time with the company. But I wouldn't boast about so many years of experience. You see, if I don't reflect that 25 to 27 years could be bad practices, and that would not amount to any experience that will help my students. So over these so many years, I thought a lot about my way of teaching, my style, and I don't equate my style to the number of students I have. I look at it more how many students have benefited from the program. Have I been able to help those who are having learning difficulties? If I have, then there would be some effectiveness in the program too. Now you see, let me let you into some personal struggles I have. Now as a student, when I was at Sec 1, I came to Singapore. I knew very little English, and the math standard back then in Malaysia was pretty low. So it was an uphill task, coupled with the fact that I was dyslexic and, you know, having to adjust to a new environment. It was a struggle. So with that background, even when I have achieved much, it helped me appreciate when students actually do struggle. So sometimes I sit down with them and understand, try to understand what they're going through. If I could, I share with them what I've been through to hopefully some of these experiences help them. But as an educator over the years, I learned to develop material that will help students with learning difficulties. Now, my material would not look like a typical textbook. My questions will not be like the typical exam questions, especially those that trains them to think. But eventually, I recognize that all students like you will also have to sit for questions of a certain type and certain style. For me, I do prepare them. But rather than starting with that type of question, I have questions that are elementary, moving them towards the tougher end. Now, I come up with this program called Math Quest. The whole idea of it is to conquer fear. You see, when we don't achieve much, there is a lot of fear in us. So when we encounter difficulties, we think we can't do it. When exams near, we have a lot of anxiety. So that's why I think this program is designed such that students will grow in confidence and they would want more of the math. Their interest level will rise. Now, it is quite good news that many of my students went on to really take on really math intensive courses like computer science, engineering. So they are not afraid to take on more math, and that is the good thing that comes out of Math Quest. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there are 7 grade accelerator. So you can't run away from the knowledge and concept. Sometimes when I have dialogue with parents tell me that, hey, as long as my kid practice more, and they will get better. You see, that is where the problem comes. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If you have the wrong concept, wrong knowledge, and you practice it again and again, you'll be so soon convinced that the wrong concept, the wrong skills are the truth. And it would be very difficult to correct. So I would say we have to get our concept right, and then to learn it in such a way that we can integrate different topical knowledge, concept into one. And most of the questions in O-level you can see are actually formed from different topics. Now, the skills competence. The algebraic skills are most important in A-math. Basically, the whole course is algebra. So when I take my students through, especially Sec 3, I realize that they don't even have the algebraic skills of Sec 2, so they struggle. And knowing that they struggle, they still don't work on what is basic. So they carry that on to Sec 4, and they are still struggling. So one of the ways to accelerate your grade is to deal with the algebraic components from the basic to the intermediate to the advanced. We can't have gaps in that. The moment we have some pieces missing in our learning, we're going to struggle. Then point 3, you see there, mastery of routine O-level question. Now, if I ask you, how many times an A1 students go through the O-level, the last 5 years paper, you'll be shocked. Minimum 3 times. 1 time topically, 2 times by the paper. They are not afraid to say, yes, I know it's boring, I know I've been through it, but for conditioning, for being very familiar with the type of questions and style of the question, they do it. And for the A1 students, when they look at a question, they immediately know, for instance, simultaneous equation. They would want to rearrange the linear equation, making either x or y the subject. Then they label the 2 equations, A and B, or 1 or 2. They substitute the x expression into the non-linear equation. So that's how they are wired. Then they look carefully at the question, because for simultaneous equation, the last part, they could be asking you to do something about the two pairs of coordinates you have found. One, maybe they ask you for the midpoint of A and B, or they ask you for the distance of A and B, or they could ask you for the gradient. They could extend this question further to say, hey, find the perpendicular bisector of these 2 points, A and B. You can see the variety coming in there. But for the first part, finding A and B is easy. So, you see, when a student who has the aspiration to want to get A1, that is the training you need to have. You look at the question, this is what you would do. So, when a student has enough of this programming in the head, he saves time. When he goes into the exam hall, open up the pages, he looks at the question, he knows what exactly he's going to do. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. If a student hesitates and he has to rethink what he should do, time is wasted and he gets panicky as the time takes off. Now, we always say that when we come to exam, we have to be fast. We have to be accurate. So we can't run away from the fact that the training must help you to speed up. The training must help you to get that accuracy even when you are going fast. So there's no time to check at the end. You check as you go along. And this kind of training must be in every day of your class. Now, when I look at students' habit in class, I advise them that they should treat each lesson, especially the practice session, very seriously, as though they are sitting for the exam. You see, it's only with this kind of mentality that when they get serious, they get built up in confidence and in the skills and in the speed. Now that's where point 6 come in. They become confident because they have repeated success. It's not something of a flash in the pan. Sometimes, just because you have practiced on that type of questions many times, although you don't know too many of other type of questions, this turn up and in your class test you do well. That is only once in maybe 6 tests. That's not going to count as competence, and it's not inspiring for yourself even. I'm talking about consistently scoring well. Now, perhaps now is the time to think, how much do you know that there's special date waiting for you? That A-level paper, the paper 1, paper 2. Do you know the actual dates? Do you know the time? Now, knowing that is one thing. Have you done something about it? Map out what you're going to do now all the way till then. So, part of tonight's talk will be on that. Now, I know time is very short. I think Mr. Ng mentioned that we have about 3 months, right? You know, your exam is November. Not much time left. Now, it doesn't mean even with 1 week left, you're not going to make a difference. I can tell you, you can. But we're not talking about just making it. I think we are talking about really excelling in the exam. Now, I think most of the students are too afraid to aim high because they think that if they aim high, they'll fall down really badly if they don't achieve that goal. Now, I have a different take. I say aim high. and take the necessary step to get there. So whatever that I'm going to show you from here on will be that step to take so that you can aim high, yeah, and reach that high goal. So to answer students who say, how do I know I'm prepared? Yes, you can know. How do I know when I actually, reach a certain level? Yes, you can know. I will show you how through the stuff that I'm going to show later. Now, if you are my students, you will have heard me say this many times. If you're not my students, I'm sure some tutors or teachers would have mentioned. Mistakes, common mistakes must be avoided. There are different types of mistakes. Transference error. Especially if you're not sleeping well or do not have enough rest. You go into the exam hall, you could be transferring numbers wrongly. Instead of maybe tangent 45, you see tangent 46. Those are common. Misinterpretation. Maybe you are asked to find the equation of the normal, but you stop at equation of the tangent. You think that is the requirement. That is quite close to misreading, right? It's quite close to misreading. Or perhaps misinterpretation can also be getting the wrong idea of what the question is supposed to get you to do. 4, routine calculation. This is typical of students who are doing trigonometry. Angles in degrees, fine, yeah. But there are certain questions that require that your angle be in radian, so you switch it to radian. Then another question needs you to do it in degrees. Bang, you forget to change it back to degree mode or to radian mode. Conceptual error. Yeah. Sometimes when you see, in a diagram, lines which look parallel, but it's not, you can't take it as parallel. Yeah, there must be strong enough reason that they are parallel. It's either stated or you have enough geometric proof to say that they are parallel. So a lot of this, you got to think through. We're still having people coming in at this stage. Okay, we talked about answering technique. You see, every class you go to now, you have to build on this. This is how you know you're more ready than before. So, if you have studied a certain topic, now you have new ways to approach certain type of question. More ways than before. Yes, you're more ready than before. And as you solve question, now you're learning to be more concise. In fewer steps, you can do it. Yes, you are more ready than before. And you are using fewer steps, fewer, labelings. And then it's a direct way to find the answer rather than a roundabout with it. Yes, you're more ready than before. Now, you also have coping mechanism. Let's say one part you have solved and then you're stuck, but you're able now to go back to the previous step and think how this step is relating to the next. Now, you have more skills to cope, and you're more ready. Now, and then you have this good habit of underlining your answer, helping markers see, this is the part 1 answer, this is part 2 answer. you are more ready to get your high goal. I think every stage you go, by the week, you should assess yourself. Am I more ready than before? You cannot say, I feel I'm ready. Do you have something to justify that? Yes, I'm more ready now. So these are some ways that you can measure yourself. This is something definite. So in short, really, concise answer is something you want to learn to show. You need to learn to label your working well, so that the markers do not have to search for your answer. The moment they have to, you're down. Okay. Whether your steps are logical, so your markers, when he reads, say he knows the development of your answers, whether your handwriting is legible, whether it is pleasing even to look at. Yeah. Now, I've done a little studies here about handwriting. If your handwriting is a bit rounded, it's more friendly rather than sharp handwriting. Yeah. So maybe you can look at your own handwriting. Make sure you divide up your answer space well to present your answers. Now, we are talking about maybe months from now, 3 months. But you got to be very strategic. So if you look at the average percentages of the topics in math that occurs maybe in the last 5 to 7 years. Now, ranking high up there is your calculus, meaning differentiation and integration. 35%. Yeah. Now, of course, that 35% includes a lot of things, includes even trigonometry. Although you see it ranking close behind is trigonometric identities and equation. If that topic is not learned well, it will affect the 35% right up there. See, your Sec 3 work, if you did not learn it well, will affect your Sec 4 work. So even in Sec 4, I'm urging my students, revisit Sec 3 work early. We even have modular courses for them because they really need to catch up with some of those work they have never learned too well. Again, I say, don't do patch-up work like, oh, practice more questions, hopefully I get better. It does not help that way. So sometimes it requires a student to go way back, right to the beginning. The textbook is a good place to start with. Yeah. And you run through the list, you can see right at the bottom there, maybe binomial theorem. Now, do not think that the 4% you can afford to lose. Small topic. If you want to aim for A1, every percent is worth your attention. You see, if you start dropping 1 or 2% from every topic, then you could be struggling with B's and C's. So the last minute review, I would encourage us to pay a lot of attention on concept and even remembering the formula. You see, sometimes when I talk to even colleagues, they tell me math is not a study subject, just practice. Not true. Okay, it's a study subject. You really have a lot of concept to know the terminologies, the formulae, and a lot of students just can't even start the first step because they don't know the rules. It's quite sad, right? Or they know maybe 5 out of 7 rules. So happen the 1 or 2 that they don't know, in the problem solving, they would encounter in the first 2 steps. That's it. The rest they can't do. So your rules cannot be learn in prioritized way. Oh, this is more important, that is less. Therefore, I try to remember this set and not that set. Remember all, if you are gunning for your A1. Of course, you practice different methods and don't rely on one method. You see, let me just give you some idea here. If you're talking about polynomial, we have Remainder's theorem. Remainder's theorem only gives you the remainder using function. Long division is different. Long division gives you quotient and remainder, right? Now you have another method, polynomial identities. You can find quotient and remainder. You see, I mentioned 3 ways. And then each way has its advantage. If you are just asked for remainders, go for remainders theorem. Don't waste time with long division. Don't waste time with polynomial identities. So it all depends on what is asked and what kind of expression you have to deal with, and choose the method well. So your practice, if at all is true, practice makes perfect, this is the place. You have various approaches, you have different methods. You practice using those methods in the right situation until you get better. Aha, I agree, practice makes perfect. Revisit problematic area. I tell you, if you do not have a plan for that, you will never do it. What do I mean by that? If I teach a class and I say this is important and you guys are struggling with this, please circle it and then find time to go through it. And of course, as students, you must pick up that habit. Yeah. Anytime you encounter anything difficult or worthy of your attention, circle it. And then you go back to those. You see, by the end of Sec 4, before your actual exam, you would have accumulated lots of exam practices. And how are you going to go through every single question to learn or revisit them or revise? No way. No way. Okay. So knowing the percentages just only tell you that you can expect more questions from certain topic. It means that there are more scope for the setters to ask different type of questions. That's how I read it. So you can expect a more variety. So higher percentages, more variety of questions come from there. So you are expected to have more time devoted to those topics and learn more ways. Okay, some of these I would skip, right? I would just like to highlight, if you practice past year school paper or prelim paper by point 3, be careful. There are some questions which are quite unrealistic. They are set, almost as a fun way to tease you. So even as a teacher, I find some questions are more enrichment than exam type. It takes too long, yeah? And then if you just practice those questions to get better, you will get very frustrated. My approach would be, if you want to score your A1, make sure all the standard questions you know very well. And then when you can find more time, you build on the next level. But certainly some of those questions are unreasonable, yeah? Now, that brings me to this point. When you work hard, you think you get your A1, that is a myth. With the right effort, know what to do. That will be the way to to your high goal. You see, you must have the right effort. Right effort means know what exactly to do. I'll show you a few things in my coming slides. The other thing is that some students are so afraid of losing out marks, so they cover very wide, even wider than is expected. You know, some questions will never turn up the O-level. So build deep. Really know the standard sets of questions very well. And then as you have time, expand to outer region, you know, the very thorough kind of question. Now, every year, the students who are sitting for O-level will tell me this is the year we will have the most difficult paper. That's because they are setting themselves up to feel good. Over the years, because I'm detached, I'm not sitting for the exam, I see sometimes they tend to be a bit more difficult, sometimes less. But it doesn't matter. You are sitting for it as a cohort. You just have to do a lot better than most. Then A1, A2 are possible. I'm not even going to put a percentage to it to say, hey, it's 90 and above, you get A1. Anything short, no. Because time and again, it tells me, like last year, a few students came out and said, hey, I think I would not get my A1 because I left one question out. And then I make some mistakes everywhere. You see, at the end, they got A1. How do you explain that? I can't explain that. Certainly it's not 90 by the kind of marks they lost. So my general advice, just do your bit, right? Let the examining board take care of the grades for you. Okay, you see, when you learn, you have to have bite size. Know your bite size knowledge. For instance, you see a question like that, differentiate e to the power half ln 2x minus 1 with respect to x. What are some of the key facts you need to know? When you have e to the power ln x, because ln is log base e, right? The bases are the same, you get x. So you need that knowledge. So if you don't have that knowledge, it is going to be trying. So you see, as I go through my A-Math program with my own students, I give them bite-sized knowledge. This type of question will not be the main question, it could be the sub-part. But I'm building them bit by bit. Over time, they will be able to conquer more of the whole question. That's because they work on a bit. And soundly, they work on it. See, this one, if I show you the solution, you got to change the expression first. And the expression will be reduced to 2x minus 1 to the power half. In the end, it has got nothing to do with ln or, power of the e is simply polynomial. And we can use the chain rule to solve it, right? Another one, graph. You see, if we want to be able to sketch a long graph like that, we must at least know the general graph, which is y equals ln x. And it swings to the right? And you need to show the x-intercept 1. How do we know it's 1? We let y be 0 because the equation of the x-axis is y equals 0. So, what happens if you have a different expression? Ln bracket 2 minus x. So we have to know, in the first case, the general shape that I show you, the coefficient of x is positive. But these particular questions that you're facing now, the coefficient is negative. Now, it's not going to swing this way to the right. It will swing to the left. So when you equate 2 minus x to 0, that is the line of asymptote. So the graph will tend towards it, but not touching it. So again, you can find the x-intercept, making y to equal to 0. And if you want to know the x, did I say when I want to find x-intercept, I take y to be 0. If I want the y-intercept, I take x to be 0. So you need to show the critical points, the intercepts. Now, for some years now, I've been coaching my students to really make use of this general rule, because it really accelerates their working for certain type of question. You see, we're not always asking you to find a midpoint. We could be asking you to find a point between, let's say, A and C, but the ratio is not 1:1, but 2:1, right? This is the formula to use. Of course, in class, I'll go through with them how to use it, right? Now, if you have these skills and knowledge, some of the questions can be solved in a quicker way rather than round about it. Well, this is a very simple question. I used to give to my students and they're all stumped. They say, hey, Mr. Chok, I think you set your question wrongly. There's nothing in the integration. What exactly you want me to integrate? Yeah, you see, the general rule is very complex. You must x to the power n, right? We all know that. But don't forget, when I show you the solution, dx is actually 1 times dx. So you're integrating 1 and you get x in your integration. So little things like that, they have to be watchful of. Equation of circle, it troubles some students. They learn to factorize the expression, which is good if you can handle it. Supposingly, you're not that competent with algebra and manipulation. I have other ways. So at this level, at least for O level, whatever you're weak in, perhaps there's some ways to compensate it. So if you're weak, like this type of question, finding the center of the circle and maybe the radius of the circle, there are other ways. Highlighted in the box there, the shortcut. First, look for the x term and the y terms. If I divide the coefficient of x by -2, then I get the coordinates, the x coordinates of the center of the circle. Similarly, if I want the y coordinates of the circle, center of the circle, I divide the coefficient of y by -2. So did I do it elaborately? No, I still get the answer. Now, the formula is easy to adopt, right? You found your f value, your g value, and c is the constant in the equation. It is put on the left side, yeah? Sub it in, and you get your radius. So I'm talking about some compensating ways. If you're not strong in certain area, find other ways. There are other ways. Logarithm. This is where I was talking about before. Some students, they like to remember 5 rules. I don't know why 5 rules, they leave the other 2 out. If you encounter such a question, you're doomed. Why? This could be the 6th, the 7th, the least popular one. So if I have log base A, B, I can switch A and B around by introducing the reciprocal of the expression 1 over. Then I switch the two expressions A and B. If I can do that, this question will be solved quite easily. See? 1 over log base x3, when I apply that shortcut, it becomes log base 3x. And then I can make that into a quadratic equation, and therefore I can solve for my x. Now, having said so much, if I just tell you what some things are good, imagine if you're coming to me for lesson 1.5 hours per week, that will not do. Even if I diligently make use of every minute to tell you all the tricks in the book. Therefore, last year I ventured into this project for my students. All of them had 300 questions. I used 3 months, round about this time of the year, to send them 2 questions a day. And at the end of each day, they received 2 sets of solutions, plus explanation. This is how it looks like. So the main idea is that these questions are designed by me, and I actually predicted some questions for the exam. And even if they didn't look exactly the same, they were very close. So some of the students say, hey, thank you, for this effort. This effort really killed me, right? Because I have to run to meet that 2 questions a day. So this is how it looks like, okay? The students are supposed to look at the question, solve it, and then compare with my answer. And then they use it to review, revise, and to recap it before exam. 150 questions for the Sec 3, 150 for the Sec 4. So the Sec 4 students had 300 questions. And a question will be something like that, right? They have to try to solve it. And at the end of the day, they receive this. So at certain places, you see boxes. Those are the rules they have to remember. And I applied those rules in those particular steps. So here, I would like you, if you want to receive a few packs of this, use your chat right now and type in your phone number. Then I can send them to you. Remember, use the chat here, right? Type in your name, type in your phone number, I will send them to you. I think I'm in the mood to give more. Yeah? Please help yourself. Now I have ebook as well. From time to time, I run some of these free talk, not just tonight, from time to time, I talk on certain topic like further differentiation, and they receive an ebook before each talk. This could be for you too. Put in your chat, right? Now, I will give them that summary of notes and some practice question. During the talk, I'll deal with those questions. Yeah? Now, I know my students are busy. I know you guys are busy. You take so many subjects. It's getting ridiculous, right? The amount of pressure you face. So my students actually get a lot of this stuff for me. I do it for them. You see, if they read the textbook, it becomes too difficult to digest, then I have to digest certain things for them. Put it in a, flashcard, one flashcard, one idea, and then they can, as they wait for buses, as they wait for the next appointment, they can review that. So I've done that for them. So just a quick look, this is what they have, right? Now, you think that is the end? No. There are many ways to support my students. Some will find, maybe don't like the flashcard too much. I like to practice some questions. I have graded exercises for them. This is one of those, right? Now, you think that is not good enough. I don't like practicing. Sometimes I just like to watch. Yes. I was working with Twitter.com. I produced 200 hours of A-Math lesson. And you can see this is one of those that I had, polynomial identities, right? So I did it in 2013, yeah? Some of the videos have reached 500,000 views. So, come, I'll send you the link, yeah? This year, I've launched another one. Yeah, this is for O-Level and PSLE YouTube channel. Not just on the math itself, but also on motivation. Yeah, but I'm building on that library. Hopefully, by this end of the year, we will have the complete syllabus. So you can visit that as well. Now, very soon, I will close it off so that it is more of an exclusive channel rather than open to public. The public will see certain videos. So when you want to continue to enjoy all that good thing, subscribe to the channel. Now, over the years, I tried many things, tried writing assessment books, 10-year series. Now, you see, what brings me a lot of joy doing all this hard work that nobody really enjoys doing, because it's hard work, really hard work. It's always at the expense of many things. Is to see the smile at the end. Look at this boy. He's totally satisfied. It's just not because they are taking pictures with me, they're smiling, not because they're receiving a prize. They are thoroughly enjoying the time with us in KRTC. Yeah, if you go to the website, you'll see lots of students who so generously pen their opinion, pen their feeling about the program. And some of them have gone on to be mothers. They are sending the kids to us. Now, at this moment, I want to also highlight this thing. You see, it's about acceleration because you just don't have a lot of time. Not having a lot of time to do the full program. So from time to time, you see we have revision program on certain topics. This was one I started in 2016, and I continue to do it. This year, we have something even more elaborate. It is the guidance program. In this guidance program, I'm not leaving things to imagination, like, what you need, you tell me, I'll do for you. No. You see how thorough it is, right? You get fact sheets. You get the typical question. And then common mistakes will be highlighted to you to take note of. And I'll show you certain problem-solving approaches. More like a flow chart. You You see this type of question, this is the flow chart. And then you have diagnostic tests at the end of it, so you know whether you have arrived or not. Yeah, whatever I give to the students, I don't want to overly burden them. It has to be meeting the O-level standard. It should be probable, it should be relevant. And the whole idea of that particular course, the guidance course that I've prepared, will have academic outcome. What is that? It will cover enough for the exam. It should give you confidence. Maybe I should say calm, because you know the size of the task and you know you have the resources to meet it, so you're calm. And it prepares you in competence, not just emotionally you feel good. It's like some of those courses you go to, right? You have the high, and then after that you're down because it doesn't concretely help you. And then out of that competence, you will grow in confidence. And the best outcome of that is, I call it class. Why? You got the A1, there's class, right? So this is the program in detail, right? The coverage, you see, nothing special. Is like topical, like integers, surds, logarithm. But what I put below there is Kickstart, the practice of O-level question with 12-week program. So there will be guidelines, what you should be doing. So if you follow that whole program, at the end of 12 weeks, you are prepared. So I will give you checklists, what you should do each week, and then monitor your progress along that. Yeah, I give you some example. The second lesson, 1 week past, right? Keep the practice to plan and resolve difficulty quickly, which means we set up certain channel. This is the problem you have, let's address it, rather than let it go, hopefully at a later stage we find time to deal with it. No, straight away. And that continues. Not that this week we do this, the next week we don't. What we start, we continue practicing. So over the next few weeks, it becomes more and more things you have to keep up with. But you will find that because they're all spaced out, it's easy to implement. Then you have the review book of concept and problem-solving flowchart coming in. I basically will prepare it. You basically look at it and make sense of it. Again, if you don't understand, it's where we come together and see how best to help you. So you can see all right to the end, right? The last one, complete all tasks sufficiently. So there's a lot of little bit of ideas. I can send you this as well. Yeah. Now, it is not a coincidence that the A's are climbing up every year in this program, because as I go through it year after year, I put improvement on it. Last year's cohort, 85% A1, A2. That is quite something, right? They are again individuals who jump 2 grades, but they had 6 months to work with. Now, at the end, you saw those smiley faces? Yes, that's good. Now, as part of the commitment from my side to the students who join this program, 30 stacks of probable questions you receive, plus solution, plus tips and so on. You have 200 hours of videos, all broken down bit by bit, so you can review them. And you have notes, teaching material based on your need. Yeah, you have seen some of those. Yeah, that will be made available. every single one will receive a 10-year series online, right? Is a soft copy. And you have weekly teaching material, which are very unique. It's developed to prepare for the exam. So last word of encouragement. You see, you still have time to make a difference. I always say, even if there is 1 week left, you still can make a difference. It's what you do with that time. But if you attempt to improve and you're using the wrong method, you will be very frustrated. So for me, I have spent a big part of my life thinking of, like I said before, my own weaknesses, my own learning difficulties. I overcame it, and I saw the kids having some difficulties. I helped them overcome it, and it's all built into the material in the teaching, a way of teaching that I have. So the more difficult cases I have, the better. That will actually help me deal with the next difficult case. Now, one advice is this: when you aim high and you have concrete steps and you're persistent enough, even if you fail, I always think you are so close to the high goal. It's all about getting as close as we can. The best is to reach it. Of course, at the end, many things can happen. You may not feel too well before the exam and therefore underperform. So I would say grades will not define you. You always find a way out. But year in, year out, I find even sitting or preparing for the exam actually, just form our character. Next time, how you face the world and how you handle difficult situations, a lot of times basically started forming when you are a student in class. And how you handle your O-level, how you handle immense work pressure. This is the time to learn it. And your excellence is learned now. How do you, with time in your hand now, you would want to achieve something better rather than let it dream. Like hope for the best. So I hope that it has benefited you. There are many things that I like to share with you. Some of these I can send to you as long as you have put down your name, put down your phone number. Those things can be sent to you.